13. It's lucky for some. The latest from our free daily newsletter at podnews.net.
This is 13, a Taylor Swift fan podcast.
We could not be more thrilled with how this thing turned out.
Oh my God.
13, the biggest Taylor Swift podcast in the world, did a live recording with more than 300 fans before a Taylor Swift concert over the weekend in Arlington in Texas. The show's from Yay Networks. Podcasts from Higher Ground are to be sold and distributed by Acast, bringing them available to podcast listeners everywhere. They were previously with Spotify. And Acast's SVP of Marketing, Communications and Brand, Lizzie Pollett, will be on the Pod News Weekly Review this Friday.
We're announcing today that we're partnering with Higher Ground for podcast ads distribution and sales, which is, of course, the production company founded by Michelle and Barack Obama. So it has Michelle Obama's podcast, The Conversations Between Barack and Bruce Springsteen. And that's really exciting for us. So they're going out in the open ecosystem and working with us on that.
The 27th annual Webby Awards nominees have been announced. Voting for the People's Choice Awards kicks off today. A new award, Webby Podcast Company of the Year, will recognise the company with the most nominations and wins across the podcast categories. Organisation in contention include Audible with 13, Wondery with 8, Wait What with 7, and iHeartMedia with 5. The Alberta Podcast Network is to close. The Canadian network has distributed more than 125,000 Canadian dollars to its member podcasts. The Pod the North newsletter contains a look back at their work. No reason for the closure has been given. Libsyn's latest platform stats numbers seem to mirror Buzzsprout's in seeing a drop for their Apple Podcast numbers and a year's high for listens on Spotify. Auphonic has released metadata variables for quicker automation. Project Brazen's podcast series about the Havana syndrome could be making it to the small screen, as non-fiction studio XTR has announced a co-production deal. The British Podcast Awards will be held at Outernet in London on September the 28th. Pod News Live in London, our networking conference, is being held the day before. More details and where to get your tickets at podnews.net/live. And Fort Collins in Colorado has a new community storytelling and recording space, Loudspeaker Studios, a full-service recording and broadcasting facility in Midtown Fort Collins, opened this week. And if you use our jobs or events services, we've added a reporting tool should you need to alert us of anything. These services run on trust. And thank you to Katie and Anna for reaching out yesterday with your concerns. In People News, Jason Hock has been hired by AudioChuck to run a premium podcast network called Wavland. He joins from Imperative Entertainment and How Stuff Works. And Mike Joachim is no longer working in senior sales at Supporting Cast, and he's looking for a new role in sales in the podcasting industry. He also has production experience. And in podcast news, On Purpose with Jay Shetty has joined the iHeart Podcast Network. As the podcast has scaled globally, Shetty says it made perfect sense to join together with the #1 podcast publisher, iHeartMedia. Dear Media launches Barely Filtered today, hosted by HBO Max's The Culpo sisters, Aurora Culpo, and Sports Illustrated alumni, Kristen Gaffney. And Dish has returned for a new season, hosted by Nick Grimshaw and Angela Hartnett OBE. The show is produced by SE Creative Studio and the UK supermarket Waitrose and Partners, and it features interviews with celebrities while Hartnett prepares and serves recipes from the store. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.